Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Mr. Showtime, and I am the Riot Pro Wrestling General Manager, the one and only. And today we are starting a new era with the It's Showtime podcast. I also have on here the Mr. Matt Weinberg as well, and we are going to bring to you so much news. You don't want to miss any of that. Mr. Weinberg, talk to me, my man.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and an honor to be sitting here with Mr. Showtime. This has been something a long time in the making. Me, personally, I've been in this business for a long time. Everyone's been asking, when am I coming back to the people? When am I coming back to the people? It took me about 2 years to digest that big old burrito I had about a couple years ago. It's finally digested. Love it. Always respect it. It'll always have a place in our heart. Heck, who knows? One day, it could come back. You never know. Just like in the wrestling world, never say never. But as of right now, it's a new era of podcasting. You got me, the Matt Weinberg, the hostess with the mostest, and you have It's Showtime. You know what? It's amazing. Mr. Showtime is here. The Matt Weinberg is here. It's a new era of podcasting. It's a new era of wrestling. The Vince McMahon era in WWE has been put to rest. And Triple H is now the king of kings of WWE. I'm excited. Everyone's excited. I know that in the last 3 weeks as Triple H has taken over, I haven't missed an episode of Raw or SmackDown. Heck, I even watched NXT last night. Not only because I knew that Mr. Showtime's presence was going to be on NXT, and, you had to support the boy, but I was excited to watch it. So I'm going to let Showtime take over right now. He's going to kind of give us his thoughts on the Triple H era beginnings.
Yeah, man, Triple H being here, again, just like you, he's one of my all-time favorites. If you haven't caught the podcast with Logan and Paul, man, I really got a chance to listen to Triple H and just see how much of a genius he is as well. So I really love seeing that and hearing that from him. But you can feel the excitement. Like being at NXT last night, you can just feel that there's something different in the air now. I mean, I feel like the wrestlers feel more calm. They're happier. The crowd's more into it. We're getting things we never got before, which is always what we really wanted. So I think Triple H brings into us a lot of different things that we didn't get from Vince McMahon. And that's going to be bringing people we've never seen before, or just reintroducing, I should say, of people again, that's going to be a lot better. I mean, you think about the Karrion Kross, and I know we'll get more into it, but, with Karrion Kross, it's awesome because now I have somebody brand new that really can now fight for a lot of different titles and also so many new matchups as well, man. And I think that's the biggest thing I've seen so far in the new Triple H era.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see in the last couple of weeks. We have repackaging of certain superstars or characters, however you want to say it. People have come back, i.e. Karrion Kross or Killer Kross, which is absolutely amazing. We've even seen possibly Dexter Lumis kind of coming back in very fun and creepy ways, which is great.
Yeah.
But we also have repackaging. It's been almost 5 years since we've seen Kevin Owens as the prize fighter, and he's hungry, and it's awesome to see that. So I think the main difference that we're going to see going forward is that I respect Vince for what he did. I respect Vince for his brain. I respect Vince for taking something that was never probably supposed to be what it is today and turning it into what it is today as a global phenomenon. With that being said, Vince was not a wrestler. We are going to get a wrestling show and a 3 times a week, 4 times a week from a man that was a wrestler first before the business and before the creative. So the intelligence is going to be on a whole nother level. Add that into the fact that he's been learning from Vince for the past X amount of years. And Stephanie is right there by his side, learning and doing just as much as he has. They have the team around them. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, we had Fury and Dolph Ziggler had a match on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, whichever one this week, on Monday Night Raw. It was 22 minutes long. It was a main event, which is great, but one, it was not for a title. It really had no business being the main event when you had a stellar match with Bobby Lashley and Ciampa earlier for the U.S. title. That should have been the main event, but that's a whole other talk in another day. But you had 22 minutes of solid wrestling with no interruptions. We went to commercial. We came back. They were still going at it. That's what we have to strap in and get used to with the Triple H era. We're gonna see wrestlers wrestle. We even saw it with the promo of McIntyre and Roman Reigns, or McIntyre and Kevin Owens. Sorry, they're wrestlers. They're in a wrestling ring. Let them wrestle.
Yep. That's really what it comes down to, Matt. I think that the biggest thing in this era is going to be that Triple H knows wrestling, but he knows and likes wrestlers that we know and like. And I think that's the difference between him and Vince. You look at Vince. Vince had been around for a long time, but I think he kind of got out of touch because he just doesn't have the time to find all the new things going on. And really, he's from that old school where when you look at Triple H, there is no sense of, I have to push a certain person. He's doing more of, I'm pushing the crowd favorites and people that we want to see. And it doesn't mean they have to have a title. I think that's the next thing. It's not about just being in a title. To your point, Theory and Dolph, I just want to see good wrestling. I want to see good storylines. And I want to see the people who excite me. Because if you excite me and I'm seeing the people we want, that's going to be it. So, for instance, NXT, I cannot tell you the boy Quincy. My boy Quincy, man, is going to be on fire. He's coming to NXT. It's going to be awesome. But literally last night, you guys couldn't see this because it wasn't live. But literally, Level Up started and we all chanted for Quincy. Between every match, we chanted for Quincy. Even before NXT started, we chanted for Quincy. And I mean, last week, or 2 weeks ago, we really chanted for him. And then they had him come out with his little scooter. My boy has a little scooter he drives every day. He came out with his scooter and stuff. And he's such a new breath of fresh air and things of that nature. So I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see people really, truly want to be better. But also we're going to see somebody that wants to have the best product out there. And he talks about Quincy. I think Road Dogg actually talks about Quincy. And the thing was, I didn't know this, but Quincy never wrestled before. He literally they said he walked in, had a Missy Elliott outfit on, which he does have a picture of that, by the way, full Missy Elliott outfit on, and had the charisma and everything, and said he just wanted to wrestle. And, I respect people like that. I respect people who just want to wrestle and just want to have fun and love what they do and respect the craft. And so, dude, it was so, NXT was so electric, man, in the air. We got to see UK people come from nowhere.
Yeah,
so I'm hoping
watching that last night, we're going to get some sort of Worlds Collide, NXT versus NXT UK. They definitely were setting that up. But golly, I forgot how amazing Gallus was. Or is, I should say.
Yeah.
That was
There's a lot of
amazing. And to add on to this point of the wrestling versus the business side of it, if you look at Triple H's guys, right, or Triple H's girls, whatever, if you want to say, the two things that you will definitely see a bump in Triple H's WWE is the women's division, which we've already seen a huge uptick in, and the tag team division, which is...
Thank God for the tag team.
Thank God they're bringing something back. And I'm not wanting to take anything away from the Usos because the Usos have cemented them now as probably the top tag team of all time. No one is touching them. It's amazing. And the fact that they're going week in and week out, 3 to 5 days a week, fighting for that title, defending that belt, it just means that it just shows how amazing and how above everybody else they are. And compare, to Roman, who has done the same thing, and I think this bloodline saved Roman's career from having to leave WWE and go around the world kind of like Drew McIntyre did. This put him back in the conversation of best wrestler in the world because he's now actually able to be himself. And we're going to see a little bit going forward of weird tag teams. We saw it last night, or Monday, with Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander becoming a tag team.
Yeah, I did. What was going on with
One,
that?
it's a reintroduction to who they are and what they can do and all that sort of stuff. But it's also, we're going to see some Franken teams until they can build that division up, because I think they only have 2 tag teams on Raw right now, which is terrible to even think about. But the main thing that I wanted to get across during this is we're going to see 3 major things play out, right? Women's division, tag team division, and we're going to know wrestlers by their names. Right?
Yes.
You have guys like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Karrion Kross. You know, you have guys like that. You're not going to have, sorry, Braun Breaker, Big Papa Pump. You're not going to have, you know, guys that are a character before the person. You're going to see a person that's before the character. If you listen to any WWE legend talk, whether it's Rock, Austin, Flair, Taker, John Cena, whoever you want to talk about, they're always going to say the best people in the industry take their personality and they shoot it up to 11. Those are the people that get over. Those are the people that are most believable. And we are going to see the generation of people turning it up to 11, probably the 12. And we're going to see probably some of the best wrestling come from that, because people can be themselves. They don't have to pretend and act to be a character. They can just wrestle.
I think that's the biggest thing for it. And when you talk about tag teams and you're looking at them, you know, I'm the NXT savant, man. I love NXT and I love the boys and girls down there, man. Lots of homies down there, so I appreciate all you guys working really hard in NXT. But, man, I cannot wait until you get Pretty Deadly and you get the Creed brothers up on the main roster. Like, I just think that those 2 teams, and there's more out there, but I think those are the first 2 teams that are really going to make a big statement. If you haven't seen the Creed brothers, you got to watch them. Them boys hit hard. They hit often. They throw you all over the place. I love it. Pretty Deadly. You know, I really didn't realize how tall and big these dudes were until I was really up on them. Like, they're a great tag team, but they got size to them too, and I like that about them as well. And then, you know, the homies, for sure, Legado. I know, like, Triple H, if you're watching, I need 2 things from you, man. First, give my boy Pete Dunne back his name. Give my boy Pete Dunne back his name. Stop with this Butch thing. My homie needs his name back.
I think that's happening for him and Walter. Or Gunther.
I hope so. Walter especially. Yeah, Walter especially, because I don't understand that, you know, but Pete Dunne's been an awesome dude, and I really want him to go back to his name because it just makes more sense. But, you know, the other part about this is just making sure that you bring up Legado. Man, you got to. I know my boy Santos, it was his last match, you know, super emotional to see him, you know, leave NXT. Gave actually some of my people some really good words of wisdom in the wrestling business. Won't share that, but definitely I left, you know, thinking really big on what he said. And I mean, I'm super happy about what he said as well. Really makes a lot of sense as well for that part. But bring all of Legado up. I think it's ready. Oh, and Triple H, third thing. Give me Santos versus Rey Mysterio. That's all. That's it. Like, that right there would shut the house down. I mean, they have history that goes all the way back to family, way back in the day. Dude, I think that would, like, WrestleMania with Rey versus Santos. Oh my, dude, it's gonna be crazy.
So let me layer in there. I've never seen Santos wrestle. To be honest, I haven't been watching NXT for a little while. It just wasn't on my radar ever since the Black and Gold left and they went to NXT 2.0. It hasn't been a thing for me to enjoy. I fully enjoyed that match last night. It was absolutely incredible. I thought I was locked and loaded in that the whole entire time. And I was actually kind of surprised when Santos lost that. But after watching it and after kind of looking back at the career he's had at NXT, it's been long overdue. Move him up. I would love to see him in a program, you know, with that. Now, with this being said, I like the Rey Mysterio aspect to it. As, you know, they're always looking for the next great, you know, luchador and stuff like that for WWE. This gives Rey something to do after Dominic's gonna leave him for Judgment Day, and I will put that down, mark it down. Dominic will join Judgment Day at some point,
which I don't understand that part either.
in all honesty, let's see how it plays out, because I think that the Judgment Day thing is definitely a Vince creative, and it's one of those things where now they're stuck with that storyline and they have to figure out now how to plan through that. I can see Santos coming up very quickly, probably in the next, I would say probably after Clash at the Castle, that Monday or that Friday afterwards. More than likely probably for a Monday as a Bobby Lashley challenger for the U.S. title.
That'd be awesome, man. That would be awesome.
I was thinking the other day, I missed that John Cena U.S. title open challenge because it got people talking about that again. It was great when we were watching SummerSlam. I knew Lashley had the U.S. title, but I had no idea who had the Intercontinental title until I
didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, we both didn't. So, it's very interesting that they're putting focus on one and not the other, which is good. The U.S. title should always have a little bit more punch to it, I believe, than the Intercontinental. But that's just because I'm American.
I was going to say, that Intercontinental, man, that has so much history, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always been a fan of the Intercontinental. I just think that, to your point, they just have to do better with both of them, honestly, and get those guys back up. Because there's a lot of mid-carders that are great that I think they don't need a heavyweight belt to make them good and to be a great career for them.
Well, the thing is, they're going to have to put more emphasis on it, because everything that we know about the world title is it's going to be Roman's probably for the foreseeable future. And Roman's also probably going to start going part-time.
Well,
he kind of already is in that aspect. So we might see him only show up a couple times a year to defend it, which is, shitty, but very well deserved at this point. So we need to bring more titles to that. I mean, if you think about it, SummerSlam is kind of annoying because the Raw and SmackDown heavyweight titles are held by one person, and the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles are handled by one team. So you're now losing 2 matches, potentially more than that, just on those matches. They don't have a women's tag title they didn't. Now they're in the process of redoing it. There was no talk about Intercontinental Championship. So, bring focus back to the titles. Bring focus back to the mid-card. Well, everyone knows who the top stars are. Everyone knows it. Let them fight over whatever they want to fight over. Bring up the mid-card. Especially on Raw, you have 3 hours to fill. Which, if anything, Triple H, if you don't want to listen to Mr. Showtime about his suggestions for you, my suggestion, get rid of the 3rd hour of Raw. Hands down.
Yeah, that would help.
And you can see just in ratings, the 1st and the 2nd hour of Raw, there's always a drop-off after the 2nd. And if you see, that's why there's a main event match now at the end of hour 2. Because they know people are going to drop off, especially now coming into football season. They're going to lose all the ratings on Monday Night Football if it's a good game.
Especially now, you've seen the NFL. I don't know if you watch NFL a lot. I'm not a huge NFL fan, but I was glued to every game in the playoffs last year. That has been the best playoffs I've ever seen. So I know that there's some teams out there. It's going to be a good dog fight this year in this season.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. But we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about everything else.
Well, I'm a basketball fan anyway. I'm more of an NBA guy myself. But yeah, I think that, where we are right now with the Triple H era, I think is going to be something for the books. Because, just like I said, NXT, I spent a lot of time in NXT, but there is so much talent down there that is coming up that, I think that where we're going to be in the next year or two is going to be phenomenal. Really, no pun intended for AJ Styles, but, it's going to be great for them because there's so much new blood that's going to be ready to go. There's obviously a few tag teams. There's a few guys out there, but there's also some good women in NXT that they're going to need some time. but they are going to kill it when they get up there.
Yeah, the women of NXT is definitely going to be the division to watch, especially with what Mandy Rose has done down there is absolutely insane. She actually looks good now, not in the sense of physical and all that, but like she looks like she can hold it now. In comparison to the Charlottes, the Beckys, the Baileys, that sort of stuff, you can put her right up in that mix now, which I don't think you could have a year or two ago. Now, with that being said, with the posse that she's surrounded herself with and the rest of that locker room, you can tell that she's influencing.
Yeah, Toxic Attraction is a big deal, man. They're a big feel now. When they come out, their entrance, everything about them is top tier. And I'm really hoping that we see those girls, up in the main roster here soon as well. Because I think they are for sure ready to be in that tag division.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that situation. I think I would rather see them bring people back than move people up right now. I would rather them bring people back and sign new people. Okada is out there. Okada's contract is going to be available soon. If you can bring Okada to WWE, you will probably shut everything down. Because he is viewed as the top wrestler in the world by far. Right?
It's all about if he wants to move over to the United States, though. That's going to be the tough part.
Exactly. So you have that aspect. I mean, we'll probably never see it, but, you know, if you had the opportunity to have the Usos versus the Young Bucks, would you not take it?
Yeah, true.
You know, I would love to have Jericho back in WWE. To me, he is my GOAT. I've always loved Jericho. You know, there's been reports now that have come out that a lot of the frustration that certain superstars had was directly with Vince, right? And especially if you take someone like Bray Wyatt. Vince McMahon did not know how to book The Fiend whatsoever. Did not know how to book Bray Wyatt whatsoever. Then when, you know, Bray needed his help, the company shooed him away. So you can now bring in someone that's going to understand how to book Bray, how to book The Fiend, how to book all that sort of stuff, and actually just let him be him. You know, take that a step further. The Fiend was amazing to the point where John Cena himself said that when they did the Firefly Funhouse with him and The Fiend, that was the most involved and the most amount he cared about a storyline in all of the history that he's been in WWE.
That's big, dude. And I think as long as you keep him away from a title, you're good. I think that's where Vince really went bad, is trying to put him around a title, trying to make him an everyday, week thing. And you can't. You need to have him twice a month or
the
throw him up
Fiend
places.
should be like the demon for Finn Balor. It should only be extraordinary circumstances, or he got beat last time, so now he needs the dark side of him, stuff like that. So bring people back that we know, bring people back that we trust. I know the rumors have been already swirling around of a Wyatt family a Jace kind of reunion in either WWE or AEW. Obviously, you're missing one. But I think we can definitely see something like that happen. Bring people back. We've already heard rumors. Bring back Sasha Banks. Bring back Naomi. And what I really hope is what's going to happen is whoever it's going to be, whether it's going to be Bayley's Girls or Asuka, Alexa Bliss, whatever, which is actually a great tag team, by the way. They click.
Yeah, that was a weird one for me, but I liked it.
Let whichever team win get completely dismantled, and then just have Sasha and Naomi walk out, grab the titles, and walk back out and say, "These are ours."
Yeah. I think that's. I'm excited for the women's division, man.
Can't tell if you're completely disgusted by my theory or if you're frozen.
Am I frozen to you? Can you see me? Yay? Nay? No?
I see you. Nope.
Can you hear me?
Now I don't see you. I can hear you.
You can hear me, but you can't see me.
Yeah, you're like John Cena right now.
Eh?
You're back. You're black.
Hey! There we go. I am, and I got the black background as well. That's kind of funny.
That's a black background.
Yeah, it was curtains.
It looks
I
silver.
change this room around like every 3 days. I can't figure myself out what I want to do with this room.
I think that means you have a problem, sir.
Yeah, pretty much. Or at least I just have a stupid room that I don't know what to do with. But one of the two in there as well. But to your point, man, like I think that the women's division, I haven't been this excited for the women's division in a very long time. And I think that, you got Sasha and Naomi, they're going to come back. I'm not really worried about that. That's going to happen. But you do have a lot of other things that you can bring in there. And I think that toxic attraction is one that you have to bring up at some point. I mean, there's not much left for them in NXT to do. So you gotta start moving some people around or move some people to NXT.
Yeah, but like I said, bring people back before you bring people up, because you can't slaughter NXT's roster to boost the main roster when you can easily just sign people that you recently got rid of.
Women though, that's tough though. How many tag teams do you have out there?
I mean, so you have Sasha Naomi, you have Alexa Asuka, you have Dakota Kai and Io Sky now, you have Nikki Ash and Doudrop, you have, I think those are the people at least that there was Shayna Baszler and someone, Tamina maybe. So it's a lot of Franken teams. I mean, that's the thing of not having that women's tag team division there. There hasn't been any tag teams that are developed. So yeah, you could easily bring up Toxic Attraction, but it negates all the buildup that you have of Bayley versus Bianca and that situation right now. You have to do that once that's run its course.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we do it in Riot Pro Wrestling, long-term booking.
It's very true.
Long-term booking is the goal. That's the thing that we have been missing, and that's the thing that Triple H is going to give us. That first episode that he came out in Raw, we had 3 hours. You want to know how many times something other than the women's division was highlighted? 3 or 4 times. That's it. We had consistent storytelling throughout the whole entire 3 hours that makes you need to stay tuned from hour 1 to hour 2, and hour 2 to hour 3, and then heck, even come back on Friday for SmackDown. You need to have a story that people get invested. We can talk all we want about the athleticism and all the wrestling because that's what people want to watch, but people do not get invested unless there's a storyline that they care about.
And I think that's what Triple H brings.
And that's what you talked about Triple H's interview with Logan Paul, and I think a lot of people misconstrued what he was saying. I took it as that. We are seeing tremendous talent with the athleticism, with the ring psychology, with everyone in the wrestling industry right now, in the wrestling world right now. You have people like myself who have been a fan since they were 3 years old watching Rock and Austin, probably earlier, and that's just the only ones I can remember right now. It's me that then grew up, decided to lift a bunch of weights, get healthy, and be a wrestler, or maybe not lift so much weights and become a wrestler and whatnot. Those are the kids that are now in there. The kids like Seth Rollins that have been backyard wrestling since they were 10 years old. I mean, I can tell you all the times that me and my friends jumped out on the trampoline and I pedigreed them and I did this and I did that. So now add that with maturity and the fact that we've watched wrestling since we were 3 years old to the time we're 20s and 30s, and now we're trying to become wrestlers. We're smarter than the average bear. They're bringing in athletes in from all over the world, all over the U.S. You have actual wrestlers like Brock Lesnar, like Kurt Angle, like
Chad Gable's out there as well. You got a lot of
the Chad Gable's out there. I forgot the other guy, Jordan. Kurt Angle's son was Chad Gable's partner.
Yeah, he's a producer now.
Yeah, So you have people like that coming in that they can teach the wrestling side to it.
Don't forget Dolph. Dolph actually was big in
Dolph.
wrestling too.
Dolph's don't get me started on Dolph. Dolph to me is very, 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 very underrated just because he's been there now and he's 40 years old and he's still killing it. That's what we're gonna have to get used to is the wrestling talent is there. The athleticism is there. People have so much content that they can watch. And it's easy, quick content. I mean, I can spend 2 to 3 hours just scrolling TikTok because it, gives me dopamine, or serotonin, whichever one you need to help make the bad go away.
Yeah.
But for me to turn off my phone or to stop texting my buddies or to whatever, put TikTok down and watch wrestling, I need to be invested in the story. I stay for the athleticism. I'm drawn in by the story.
Yep.
That's the main difference that we're going to see, I believe, because that's Triple H's philosophy versus Vince's philosophy, and we saw that during that interview, which was not a fan of Logan Paul until I heard that interview. Now I'm a huge fan. Mine, on top of the stuff he did at SummerSlam and WrestleMania.
I'm the same. I gained a lot of respect for him after that, and I gained a lot of respect. But it's the same thing with Pat McAfee. The fact that guys can go out, they buy their ring, they start training, they really put in the time and effort to be where they are. Like, you got to respect that. And I think another thing to your point with storylines is investing in the wrestler.
But don't forget that Pat is an athlete. Pat was a NFL. I think he has a Super Bowl ring in the NFL.
It's kicker, yeah.
Granted, kicker, puncher, whatever, but you still have to be a world-class athlete, a top-tier athlete to make it to the NFL.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, kickers.
There's only 32. There's only 32 teams in the league, and there's probably only a spot for 1, maybe 2 kickers. So you have a 1 in 64 chance of being in the 1 in 64 chance of being in the NFL.
Yeah, I think and he's always been a good athlete. And I think as a kicker, you got to have a lot there for the two. But I mean, I just respect the fact that he bought a ring and then went to train and actually learn. Because for me, when I look at the people that have come into the wrestling, world now that weren't really there, I look at Pat being one of the best first-time wrestlers I've ever seen hit the mat, man. Like, I just, from him in NXT to see this guy that you never wrestled a day in your life to go and be that good, regardless of who he's with. I know Adam Cole makes everybody look good too, but that's really special. Same with Bad Bunny. Got all respect for Bad Bunny because, I mean, the man's Beyonce level, and he still found time to train. That's a lot.
Well, and I think that's the difference, too, is, we now in the society, the celebrities that we see are going to be these personalities and these talents, and they have the money to actually sit and train versus, 10, 20 years ago when you'd have like Floyd Mayweather, versus the Big Show, they had to either get people that are already fighters and already entertainers that are already athletic, or they weren't even very much used properly. They
were just there for the name.
They were there for the name. They were there for the recognition. I mean, even going back all the way to WrestleMania 1, they had to bring Mr. T in.
Yeah.
To bring in awareness and to get that celebrity factor. But the celebrity today is now different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. The celebrity today is the Logan Pauls of the world. And the Logan Pauls of the world are my kind of insane. They build their universe around them. They have all the means that they can. And they see a goal. He wanted to be in the WWE, wanted to have a wrestling match. They made it happen. And on top of that, he's pretty damn good at it.
Yeah, he really is. He impressed me a lot as well, especially to be at SummerSlam doing it.
To be at WrestleMania, to be at SummerSlam is absolutely amazing. And the fact that I don't know if they blew it up, marketing wise or anything like that, but they signed a 3-year multi appearance deal with Logan Paul, so he's gonna be around for a while.
And I respect that from him because, I mean, the man talks a lot, but he's backed up every time. He's never been scared. And, I respect somebody who does that as well, who just says what they got to say, don't care if you like it or not. But then, hey, you want to get in the boxing ring? Let's go. You want to go into wrestling? Let's do that. Whatever it is you need to do.
Well, the thing is that's the smarter decision rather than going, hey, Conor McGregor or someone like that, because that's the only person that could probably bring that type of publicity and athleticism into the ring, but nobody's going to go against them.
I think Riddle would be your guy.
I mean, but yeah, I could see Riddle versus Conor. That would be pretty interesting. The other one, I wish they made it happen, was Lesnar versus Cormier.
Yeah, Cormier had a lot of other things going on, but I think he's still gonna pop up in WWE though. He'll pop up at some point.
Cormier was supposed to be an announcer on SmackDown, and then I think that's how they were gonna weave it in, him versus Brock. But they could even do Lashley, because Lashley has MMA experience and all that. And I think we might see some MMA fighters transition over and back and forth as WWE gears more towards athleticism versus acting chops.
Don't sleep on Nakamura either. Nakamura's a bad dude.
I don't sleep on Nakamura. I mean, I think Nakamura versus Gunther is going to be an absolute slobber knocker to pay homage to good old JR. Yep. Everybody forgets what strong style is until Knock is allowed to be Knock. I mean, I was there for his going away party at NXT. I was there for his arrival on SmackDown. You can hear his hits from all the way up in the nosebleed, and that's all I'm going to say. Yeah,
that's the same with Gunther, man. Like, I've seen him hit so many people in NXT, I felt it. Like, every time he hit somebody, he slapped somebody in the chest, like, that chop makes me feel it in my chest at the same time. It's crazy. It's scary. I would not take one from him. I'm good. Like, no, you ain't going to pay me enough for that one. All right, my man. Well, it looks like we've got a huge episode coming up, man. We've done some really big things.
My other favorite fact about Nakamura is that he just likes to go surfing when he's not wrestling. The man just likes to sit on the surfboard and just zen out.
That is true. That's my boy, though. I like Nakamura.
All right. Well, I think you were trying to put me on a time clock here, is what that kind of was about to sound like.
Yeah.
So it might be time to say goodbye to the people. It's been a pleasure and an honor, as always, to be in your presence, Mr. Showtime.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to give you a couple seconds to let the people know where they can see you next. Plug whatever you got to plug, which is going to be Riot Pro Wrestling, since you are the fantastic, stupendous GM of Riot Pro Wrestling. What's going on with Riot?
Yeah, man. Always, Riot is always trying to move up, get better each and every day. September 9th in Melbourne, Florida. We are back again, and I cannot wait. Melbourne is like a home for us. So, we've been away for a little bit. We were in Daytona last time as well, and everybody kept asking us to get back to Melbourne. And so we're excited to be there. Day of Reckoning. It's going to be awesome. If you haven't got your tickets, you can go on Eventbrite right now, Riot Pro Wrestling, get your tickets, or actually just see us September 9th. It doesn't really matter how you do it. Just buy the damn tickets now, okay? Get in there. Make sure you're there. It's going to be Riot Pro Wrestling. It's going to be amazing as always. And, of course, me, Mr. Showtime, is going to be there, and you don't ever want to miss that.
Truly, it's a spectacle to see Mr. Showtime in his element. You get to see just a snippet of what Showtime brings to the table on this podcast. You're going to be seeing that from here on out. He is going to be my co-host, if you will. So, we're going to go through this. It's going to be great. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I will put all of the Eventbrite information in the description of this podcast. Peace.
Peace.